the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. One of his advocacy helping entrepreneurial men raise conscious families, create impact in their local community, and build legacy without letting them. And of course, a legacy teacher, and of course, a change maker. None other than Mr. Christopher Bauer.
Thank you, Daniel.
Welcome, Mr. Christopher on Abstract Cafe. Can you please introduce me more about yourself so that I know?
Well, I started out as a classic, like my first business I built out was a classic car restoration shop, which that one it was built up in 2015, so we're talking 11 years ago. I had a second business launch, which I pivoted to do alongside the restoration shop, which was my floor plan business. It was, you could say, a lot of learning, lots of mistakes, and also trying to get into a oversaturated market to make like houses, simple home designs that could address like the affordable housing crisis at the time, because that was a lot in the news. And well, let's just say, as much as I pushed it, it didn't get a lot of traction. I spent 5 grand on the business, lots of time designing 15 home designs, and one larger building that I thought I could do, but apparently, unless you're an architect, you can't touch those. And yeah, that ended up folding in 2019, which then I took my knowledge, skill set, and know how and built a first iteration of Leaving Legacy Live, which was only a 30-minute course at the end of 2020. And I spent half a year in 2021 expanding it out to 22 and a half hours.
Well, Mr. Christopher, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Thank you. So today, let's talk about what happened to healthy masculinity. Beyond the buzzwords, when we say healthy masculinity fell apart, what are the specific human capacities like emotional granularity or non transitional friendship or quiet confidence that you see as most diminished, and why did they atrophy?
Oh, we're seeing the decline in the healthy masculinity. Like it's actually, I want to say, has been going on for decades. Like honestly, since the inception of when they put out the contraceptive birth control to women, because that increased the estrogen supply, which it has inadvertently gone into the water supplies too, and that's been affecting men. And yeah, I would go and say to the point that the decline into healthy masculinity is a greater issue at hand, which plays in a roundabout way a role into what I'm doing with my life training. Without healthy masculinity, there are no protectors, there's less providers, and there's guys who they rather care about their looks, they rather care about their ego than their community, than those around them.
Ego, indeed. So you argue that the older, often toxic models of manhood have been rejected. What failed to fill that vacuum? What is a consumerism or a lack of a new rites of passage or something else entirely?
Well, rites of passage, they've actually went out of fashion back in 1909. Like they were going on in the 1800s up until the early 1900s, and then they just fell off the map. With the lack of having rites of passage, you you're running into like that. I would say that's the primary reason why there's so many men today, or I would rather just call them boys, who are in adult bodies but have the mindset, the attitude, and the tantrums of children, because they're still a child. A child. They think they're a child. They think they can get away by being a child, and they can treat other people in childlike behavior instead of actually going and saying, "Hey, no, I'm going to stand up for something," instead of basically complaining, crying, or throwing a temper tantrum when they don't get their way.
It's true what you said, Mr. Christopher. They are immature at their age until now. Even it looks like they're 40, they are childish. So how have a modern digital landscape from a social media performance to pornography to decline the third places, uniquely engineered a new kind of loneliness for men, different from a generation's past.
I mean, I come at the male loneliness epidemic. I mean, I've had a couple discussions on Twitter on it, and or Twitter X on it. I look at it is very tied into the decline in the testosterone levels. It is also tied into that the men, there's very few strong men these days. There's a lot of weak men. And if women are wanting providers, they don't want weak men. They want men who have their shit together. They have a purpose, they have a plan, they know where they're going, they know what they're building, and they have the capability of carrying others around them and their family. Like it's the physical strengths, the mental strengths, and the spiritual strengths. People always go, oh, the weakness, it's only one of those three. No, it's all three. You got to be strong in all three aspects in order to be able to bear the weight of the world. If you have like one but not the others, you're still kind of weak. Like we got to get men to understand that there's more to it. Like the guys who are in the gym who are constantly lifting the weights, yeah, you're physically strong. Mentally, spiritually, like can you mentally outmaneuver somebody if you get into a debate? Can you mentally problem solve and work to address real world issues? Like spiritually, are you strong enough to actually understand the other aspects that may not be visible to everybody at play? Like can you delve deeper without going either I don't want to think about, I don't want to address it because I'd rather ignore it, or they fear what it could be when it's actually when you really understand it. Like if you're strong enough, you can face it without having to worry.
Indeed, to worry indeed. So let's talk about the wound metaphor. If the current crisis of masculinity is a symptom of a deeper cultural wound, how would you describe the nature of that wound? Is it a crisis of purpose, belonging, or value?
I would look at the wound as the wounded metaphor more as a crisis of belonging, because if you cannot find belonging, how can you define purpose? Because you need to know where you belong, where you fit in. Like in order to find the purpose, you got to build off of somewhere, and the belonging is like the first couple of foundation blocks which the rest can come off of. Like there's a lot of guys, a lot of men out there, they don't really fit in. They're looking for guidance. Who do they find as guidance? You have the Tate brothers, you have the red pill boys, you have those people who they're leading you astray. They're making you hate the other gender for absolutely no reason because of stuff that they've been told or if they've been encountered or they've encountered. But are they really strong? They're again, I would look at them as weak men because they lack integrity, they lack humility, they lack honor.
They lack of everything, don't you think? So let's talk about the archetypes and alternatives. What could it look like? Like, let's talk about the positive templates rather than just defining what healthy masculinity is. It what is the real world or historical figures, fictional characters, or community models provide a compelling and multi-dimensional template for what it can be.
I mean, I would look at, in order to address the problem, we got to go way back. We got to go back to the days of the rites of passage. We got to go and have the ritual and the challenge to raise the boys to, from boys to adolescents to men. We got to force them to understand that the world is not gentle, it's not nice to them, but they are capable of handling that hand, what they're going to face in their life. We got to go back and show them that the strong, what define, the spiritual, the mental, the physical strengths are sought after traits, and actually those are traits that even more traditional women are looking for, because they're a provider, they're a protector, and they will raise their kids in the image of themselves. Like, they will make sure your children will be smart, able to think, able to problem solve, and they want to be in the image of their parents, as long as their parents are providing the right person to mirror. I mean, other examples for like other examples of what it should be, whether from like cartoons or movies or other figures. I mean, that's that's hard to say. I would go back to, I don't know if you heard of the Brothers Grimm's fairy tales. Like, go back that far. Those fairy tales are from the 1800s to the early 1900s. They were written in old, like, it was German back then. They have translated copies, but those are better examples of what masculinity should be today than any modern day example. Like, anything, honestly, after 1913, it's being manipulated. You have influence from Edward Bernays and Sigmund Freud, who are, forcing cultural change, trying to change along with cultural belief systems on what they want to see versus what society and culture should be and what was prior.
Interesting, Mr. Christopher. So let's talk about the integration challenge. A healthy man is not just a less aggressive. How does he integratively channel, oh yes, traditional masculine traits like protectiveness, assertiveness, and competitiveness in a pro-social, non-dominating ways?
I would say, like, if he's around women and stuff, it's the safety, the kindness, how he can show the other aspect. You're not meant to dominate women all the time, every time. You want to show them safety. You want to show them, hey, look, like, I will protect you even if you are not my girlfriend. You will go and show them that you're somebody who they want to be around, your likableness. You want to have, I mean, I would stray away from competitive, even though there is still some aspects of that. If men could be more collaborative, we could build more together. Like, if you look at the great works, if you look at like old architecture from antiquity, you had to have a bunch of tradesmen, a bunch of men come together to create that. That wasn't just one person doing it.
So, definitely. So, how about the friendship deficit, Mr. Christopher? Like deep platonic male friendship seems to be cornerstone for healthy masculinity. What are the practical modern barriers to cultivating this friendship, and how can men overcome them?
To have the deep friendships and all of that, it's more of a, I want to say, a mental block. That's the problem these days. Because if everybody's in competition, if everybody's trying to outdo one another, you're not gonna go and work together with others. On top of that, you have to be willing to put yourself out there to talk about conversations and problems which you may be facing. That vulnerability aspect for a lot of men, it's a challenge. Like, they don't want to share their problems because they fear that by sharing those problems, they're only going to have other people going and saying, they're going to criticize them. They're going to create more problems. They're going to exacerbate them. Where if you can get the right group you're with, they'll help you solve them. They'll help you overcome them. Like, I am seeing a comeback. Like, it was only a month ago, but where I am, there's a bunch of local entrepreneurs who are starting like a brotherhood of that. Like, it's starting up to bring people, other men who have businesses, who want to get ahead, who want to help each other, to come together and work together so we can create more. Like, there's that. There's other ones that are happening in the United States by more successful entrepreneurs. And I mean, I can't really say about Europe or Asia because I don't know much how their societies, how their markets are reacting to this. I would like to see that happen there, but yeah, like it should happen and it can happen. It's just whether or not the guys are willing to go there and talk about what needs to be discussed.
Definitely, very well said, Mr. Christopher. So let's talk about the system and structure. Where are the guardrails? Which are our major institutions, education, organized religion, or workplace have the most failed to adopt their models of mentoring and initiation for boys and young men? And what the consequences?
I mean, I look at the failures of why we're in such a mess today. The education system plays a major part in that because it's not teaching boys confidence, it's not empowering them, it's wanting them to go sit on the sidelines, and it's confusing them. The home family environment plays a huge factor in that as well. Because, I mean, if your dad doesn't know how to raise you right, how are you supposed to figure that out? It's a very uphill battle to figure it out yourself. But, I mean, possible for those who want to do the work. For looking at mentorship, there are more bad actors, bad examples like today more than ever. I want to say there's very, very few people I would look and say, hey, you should be mirroring this person. I mean, a good example of someone who I would say shows healthy masculinity is Bedros Keuilian, because he's built a program, like I can't remember the exact name of his program, but he's built a program for male business owners to push them to come together. It's more of like a boot camp. And now he's also done a spin-off of that where he's doing another one for father and sons. So there's another aspect of it. And he looks at honor, integrity, humility. He looks at all the right aspects for masculinity. Um, Alex Hormozy is another good example, like for his relationship advice. I mean, when you see these people who are very successful start saying, hey, we got to do this, this, and this, and you have those who have the toxic, not the toxic masculinity that is what's being said, but I'm talking about the lack of self-control, the constant berating, belittling of women, the constant complaining of why everybody's against them. Like, how do you those are terrible examples like that. Those aspects are truly toxic. Those aspects are going and making everything worse in society, not better. Like we should be going and building together, building with the right values, because then we can go further. Without that, we're digging a deeper hole every day.
Master Christopher, interesting indeed and very well said. And let's talk about the vision and legacy. What are we building? So, if we get these right, what is the tangible sign that we see in a generation? Is it a lower suicide rates, different friendship patterns, or shift divorce dynamics, or something more subtle?
Well, to get around the divisive aspects and all of that, to build a healthier world that would actually create like an actual stuff that your children would look back at and going, wow, my father actually achieved that. I look at it, you have to address the underlying social structural issues. Like, yes, I am critical of charity, but most people forget if any charity out there would ever solve the problem it is raising money for, it will cease to exist. So why do they want to? They will never solve the problem at hand because that means their own demise. So if you have that framework in mind, if we actually address the problems, the charities and those other organizations, they'll either pivot and shift to new issues, or the society will restructure and will be doing other aspects as the problems would hopefully start to diminish. beyond that, to have it where we could actually show the change, I mean, again, it starts in the family unit. The family unit is where we raise the strong children. If we homeschool, if we take that power back as well, instead of having the state or the nation school our children, we do it ourselves, we can imply the other aspects. We could even go to the point of even having rites of passage within that, because we're not only homeschooling, but we are going and raising them and educating them to understand the world better from that aspect. And then, I mean, the final component is the community. As the community comes together and we have more people working together for similar goals to actually better everybody else's lives, you're going to start to see change. The bureaucratic problem, like the bureau, all what they do is you're spending more and more money every year, and you have more and more problems. If it truly would be doing its job properly, the bureaucracy would be fixing the problems, not exacerbating them, not increasing charges, not going and having it where their paycheck goes up every year and the problems increase at the same time. It should be, honestly, if we can eliminate the bureaucratic side and have it where people can govern themselves, again, a lot more problems would disappear, because there would not be misallocation of funds. There would not be any corruption, collusion, contempt, or other like issues, malfeasance. Like you wouldn't have any of that, because the people who would be trying to do that wouldn't be able to do that, because they wouldn't be able to have access to the levers, the keys to society to go and drain it. Whereas the people who want to create the change, the people who want to work together and build something, would basically create the world which we want to have.
Very well said, Mr. Christopher. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, I invite you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and of course my book 101 review in sixth season as well. Comedy 101 in third season, and my food 101 in sixth season as well. Geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 are in fifth season, science 101, sex 101 in its sixth season as well. Spiritual Awakening, Trivia 101, Law 101, Love Letters, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and Bible Verses 101 are my baby podcasts. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Christopher, in this episode, if the old map of manhood is torn up, what is the new internal compass built on? What principles that can guide men toward a life, dignity, connection, and health?
I would be looking at, like, for the new map, I would say the starting point, we have to get rites of passage back. We have to get the ability to raise them right from the beginning, and then proper education along with building out ways in order to actually see, like, them step into their power, step into their purpose to create the change. And then beyond that, like, it's the collaboration, the harmony of working together with others instead of competing with them.
Well, Mr. Christopher, very well said. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite the listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, you can find me at leavinglegacylive.com, which is the current website that's open. I also have a free school community at school.com/legacy-collaborative, where men can join if they want to ask questions, if they want to learn more about the life training, and even if they want to become part of the life training. But I would advise those ones to actually book a one-on-one call with me, so I can see how we can work together and make that possible. I'm on LinkedIn, which is linkedin.com/Christopher Bauer. And yeah.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Christopher Bauer, because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy like this to rise. So, Mr. Christopher, I have one more question. If we get this right, what is the tangible sign or seen in a generation? Is it a lower suicide rate, a different friendship, or patterns that can truly emerge for the 21st century?
I mean, I would say the suicide rate would go down immensely. You'd have other, like, you'd see family structures, marriage rates would go up, and like on the other side too, and there'd be bigger, happier, healthier families.
Certainly. And one more before I will let you go. How does the journey toward healthy masculinity intersect differently with the experience of men of color, queer men, or men from various class backgrounds?
That would be like, it depends on their background, their upbringing, because depending where you're coming from is a different starting point. It would be, I would almost be looking at it like you got to assess your situation, because they might have to learn more and they might have to go and ask harder questions. But I mean, they have rites of passage in Africa, Russia, Europe, and South America. So your different cultural background doesn't really mean your path is that much different. It's more of the questions and the other aspects you got to look into yourself and then teach to your children.
Certainly. So, Mr. Christopher, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome, Daniel.
More to come, people. See you soon.